Ambassador Creelthax of the Dominion Council shifted uncomfortably in his ceremonial robes as the long-range sensors detected the approaching fleet. 10 years. 10 years of blessed silence from the noisy, chaotic species that had once called themselves humans. The galaxy had finally found peace. "Sir," his aide whispered urgently, "the energy signatures. They don't match any known human technology." Creelthax studied the tactical display with growing unease. Where once humanity had fielded crude fusion-powered vessels with primitive kinetic weapons, the approaching ships registered power outputs that defied conventional understanding. Dark matter reactors, causality weapons, technologies that the Dominion had spent millennia developing, now somehow in human hands. The last recorded human transmission had been a simple message broadcast across all frequencies. "We're going home to think." Then, nothing. Every human colony, every space station, every ship had simply vanished overnight. The galaxy's younger races had breathed a collective sigh of relief. Humanity's unpredictable nature and rapid technological advancement had made the older species nervous. Now they were back. Admiral Lisa Zhang stood on the bridge of the UES Ascendant, watching the familiar star patterns of the Vega system grow larger on the main display. Behind her, a fleet of 200 vessels waited in perfect formation, each one a masterpiece of engineering that would have been impossible a decade ago. The Great Withdrawal had been humanity's most desperate gambit. When the Dominion Council had issued their development limitations, effectively capping human technological progress to maintain galactic stability, Earth's leadership had faced an impossible choice: accept permanent subjugation or risk everything on a single, audacious plan. They had chosen to disappear. "Admiral," reported Commander Hassan from the tactical station, "Dominion fleet detected. Looks like they've assembled quite a welcoming committee." Zhang smiled grimly. The Dominion had 300 ships waiting in formation, impressive by any standard except the one that mattered. "Power up the quantum lance arrays. Time to announce our return properly." The human exodus had been meticulously planned. Using experimental fold space technology, they had transported their entire civilization to a carefully selected system outside the galactic rim, a lonely star surrounded by lifeless worlds that offered something precious: isolation and time. Dr. James Chen, now Admiral Zhang's chief science officer, had called it evolutionary pressure cooker. Cut off from galactic civilization and faced with the monumental task of rebuilding from scratch, humanity had been forced to innovate at an unprecedented pace. The best minds of the species had worked in concert, sharing knowledge freely, pushing the boundaries of physics itself. The breakthrough had come in Year 7, the discovery that dark matter could be weaponized through quantum field manipulation. Unlike conventional antimatter weapons, dark matter lance technology could bypass traditional shields and armor by targeting the fundamental forces that held atomic structures together. "Incoming transmission from the Dominion flagship," announced Lieutenant Park. "Put them through," Zhang ordered. The holographic image of Ambassador Creelthax materialized on the bridge, his four eyes wide, with a mixture of confusion and growing alarm. "Human vessel, you are in violation of Galactic Convention 247. Your presence in this system without proper authorization." Ambassador Zhang interrupted smoothly. "Humanity formally withdraws from all galactic conventions, effective immediately. We're here to reclaim our colonies and establish new territorial boundaries." Creelthax's skin flushed a deep purple, a sign of extreme agitation in his species. "This is preposterous. You cannot simply ignore 10,000 years of galactic law. Your primitive technology poses no threat to." His words died as the Ascendant's quantum lance array came online. The dark matter beam, invisible to conventional sensors, passed through the Dominion flagship's shields as if they weren't there. The proud vessel's molecular structure began to unravel at the atomic level, its hull dissolving into component particles that drifted away like cosmic dust. The bridge fell silent. Through the tactical display, Zhang watched as panic spread through the Dominion fleet. Ships that had seemed invincible moments before now scrambled to retreat, their commanders realizing they faced technology far beyond their understanding. "Target the command vessels only," Zhang ordered calmly. "We're here to reclaim our territory, not commit genocide." 3 more Dominion ships dissolved under the quantum lance bombardment before the remaining fleet began its retreat. Zhang allowed them to go. The message had been delivered with mathematical precision. In the years that followed, xenobiologists would study humanity's transformation with fascination and terror. The species that had once been dismissed as chaotic upstarts had returned as something entirely new. They had weaponized evolution itself, using isolation and necessity to accelerate their development beyond all reasonable expectations. The human colonies were rebuilt within months, but these were not the crude settlements of before. Massive orbital habitats rotated around gravity generators that manipulated space-time itself. Planetary defense systems could create localized black holes to dispose of incoming threats. Entire star systems became fortress worlds, protected by technologies that seemed to bend the fundamental laws of reality. But perhaps the most unsettling change was in humanity itself. The desperate years of the Great Withdrawal had forged them into something harder, more focused. They had learned to think in terms of species survival rather than individual gain. When they spoke, it was often with the collective voice of billions working toward a single goal. Territorial negotiations will commence in 72 hours, Zhang announced in her final transmission to the galactic community. Any species wishing to establish diplomatic relations with the new human republic is welcome to attend. Those who choose hostility will discover the full extent of our technological advancement. As the human fleet spread out across their reclaimed space, establishing new boundaries with casual displays of overwhelming force, the galaxy began to understand a fundamental truth. Humanity hadn't just returned from their decade of silence. They had evolved, and they had become something that made even the ancient powers of the Dominion Council reconsider their assumptions about the hierarchy of galactic civilization. The prey had become predators, and the balance of power in the galaxy would never be the same. From his command center on the rebuilt lunar station, Zhang looked out at the stars and allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Humanity had gambled everything on their great disappearing act, and the bet had paid off beyond their wildest dreams. The galaxy had wanted them to stay quiet and small. Instead, they had become titans.